You defend your belt. It's a responsibility. I know your resume is incredible. What you've done is incredible. You're considered the greatest of all time. We get that. So if you don't want to fight, just retire.
Tom Aspinall has delivered his most direct warning yet to Jon Jones, issuing an ultimatum that could shake up the entire heavyweight division. Meanwhile, former featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski has fired his own shot, declaring that if Jones won't defend his title, he should step aside and retire from the sport altogether.
I saw an interview where it said you and Jon are aligned, and you guys have decided together to allow for the UFC to tell you what you're doing. Is that true?
No, man, Jon's retired. What are we talking about, guys?
What do you mean?
Jon, you guys don't follow Jon on social media?
I don't follow him on social media. He said that.
No, me too, actually. Me too, but the guy is living his best life. He's had a fantastic career, we all know. We know Jon's a religious man, so I want to say God bless him moving forward in what he does with his life and his career. And, we move on. We move on. I'm the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I'm ready to take on all comers, get this division moving again. Us guys have been waiting around too long. The contenders are getting sick of it. Everybody's getting sick of it. Even the fans are getting sick of this stuff. So Jon's retired and it's time that we move on.
The MMA community's patience is running out. And today, we're unpacking why two of the sport's most respected champions are taking a firm stand against arguably the greatest fighter of all time. This growing tension is sparking major debate across the entire fight world.
Not stepping up and fighting yet, he's let the whole MMA fan base down. I couldn't have somebody else saying that they're going to beat me and not at least fighting. And then if I lose, at least I tried my best. There's a lot of politics, isn't there, in the UFC at the top levels, and it's just like out of my hands, so there's nothing I can really do about it.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Tom Aspinall's patience has officially run out. The interim heavyweight champion, stuck in limbo for a staggering 19 months, just issued what many are calling his most direct challenge to Jon Jones yet. Speaking on the High Performance podcast, Aspinall didn't hold back, stating bluntly, "We either need to fight, or I need to move on and do something else." The pressure is now undeniable.
I'm literally just waiting for a date. I'm not bothered where it is. I'm not bothered who it's against. To be honest, it's not just the Jon Jones fight I'm looking for. I'm looking to fight, man. Like, I'm in shape. I've been working hard since way before Christmas. I've been in the gym twice a day. I've got international training partners here. I am prepared to fight anybody.
Fantastic meeting. Everything went amazing. I understand my position now. I understand what the company's doing now. And you got to stay tuned, my friend, because there's some big news coming.
Okay, well,
There's nowhere to go for Johnny. He either has to fight me or retire now. If he does retire, everyone knows that he will have been avoiding me. I want to fight. Absolutely, I want to fight. If that's against Jon Jones or not. I'm just waiting on a date, man. Dana White's come out this week and said that Jon Jones is happy to do it. I've been in the rooms with the UFC and they've told me it's happening. I'm not chasing Jon Jones. The reason I want to fight Jon Jones is because he's got the belt. Number one heavyweight walking around on planet Earth. But we need to find out who the guy is. If it's not Jon Jones, get out of the way. I'll fight someone else. Happy day.
You can't just, I'm going to sit out. I think you need to be reasonably active. I think you need to fight whoever's there. If you've got an interim champ, it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? So I don't want to throw heaps of shade, but I mean, look, I know he's proved himself. Everyone's like, oh, look what he's done. It's fine. It's like, yeah, no, not really. Don't hold up divisions just because, I know your resume is incredible. What you've done is incredible. You're considered the greatest of all time. We get that. So if I'm going to sit out. I think you need to be reasonably active. I think you need to fight whoever's there. If you've got an interim champ, it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? So I don't want to throw heaps of shade, but I mean, look, I know he's proved himself. Everyone's like, oh, look what he's done. It's fine. It's like, yeah, no, not really. Don't hold up divisions just because, I know your resume is incredible. What you've done is incredible. You're considered the greatest of all time. We get that. So if you don't want to fight, just retire. You're done. Or if you want big fights, you're going to have to vacate the title. Like it's a responsibility. That's how I've always looked at being the champ. It's a responsibility.
About DC saying he would have already fought Tom.
Should I move the I don't think much about it, but I really do want to fight Tom Aspinall. I just want to meet him here at Dirty Boxing.
So he has to come to a Dirty Boxing event for him to get the fight.
No, we'll fight here at Dirty Boxing.
You'll fight at Dirty Boxing. I like that. All right, John.
One is what I would describe is there's human beings that have different temperament and different minds and different mentality and a ruthless competitive drive that's almost terrifying to the ordinary person. That's Jon Jones. Jon Jones is a bad guy who's trying to be a good guy. Right. But that guy, if we were living 1,000 years ago, he would be on a horse with the biggest battle axe, waiting in the back, hacking heads off, and everybody would be running. And those people have always existed. These dominators have always existed.
Yeah.
But Jon is like a genuinely sensitive, intelligent guy who's trying to do the right thing. But he's a fucking conqueror. He's a fucking conqueror. That's the thing that's inside of him that leads him to be the GOAT. And without that, you don't get
losing the way I did. He kicks me. So I'm like doing the whole thing, right? Because if you get hit here, it kind of like messes with your whole equilibrium. And I'm like trying to get away from him. And opposed to him just running at me like this, he kicks my leg and spins me. When he spins me, now I'm already kind of buzzed. I'm like doing this, the world's spinning, I fall down. You fall down and your head's all out of control, there's nothing you can do. You can't grab.
Could we expect one more rodeo?
I don't know what life holds as far as fighting and competing. I do feel like I'll be a lifelong martial artist, whether I'm coaching others or taking exhibition matches or things like that. There's a lot of great competition still in the UFC. I do view myself as more than a fighter. And being in my position, I feel like I have a lot more options than a lot of the other fighters as far as the ability to leave and return and things like that. And so right now, I'm just focusing on love, happiness, kindness. We're in the quarter century mark. And this year should be a really special year. So this year, I'm saying yes to more opportunities. Hence me being here, meeting you.
So grateful.
I'm glad that I'm doing this. I've been meeting so many great people. I'm saying yes to more opportunities. I'm traveling more. I'm consciously being kind.
But I think they just wanted that one more fight. They felt like it could be a big fight, and they're giving it their all. He gave them a number. They met the number. He said thanks, but no thanks. That's what happened. And I think he wanted, deep down, as we read the tea leaves here, I think he probably wanted them not to come to the table. And then he said, hey, guys, not on me, right? I feel like that's the safest bet.
Fight.
100%.
And that's it.
And what about this? There are people who have started a petition to strip Jon Jones. We're now at 115,135 as of maybe an hour or two ago when we took this screen grab.
It was actually, we took a first screen grab an hour ago, and it was at like 113, 114, and then an hour later it was over 115.
Okay.
Wow. I signed it.
Yeah, so, but here's the thing. Jon does also bring up a good point. If Jon told the UFC like 2 months ago, hey, I'm not interested, it's no longer on him.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? So, like, you remember one time I sat here and I said the UFC is not to blame? And I said that because they met the number. But now, if he tells them, hey, I'm not interested, all right, you could say, well, you're to blame because maybe you told them, hey, if you meet this number, I'm fighting. And then you could say, all right, UFC is now back to blame because he told them 2 months ago, you know, I'm out. Why didn't you give Tom Aspinall a fight? There's this whole thing. Now, I heard Dana White say recently, like, look, we got to give these guys 3 fights a year. Remember we talked about this yesterday?
And, I mean, as far as Curtis Blades go, there was also a lot of people thinking it could have gone over a round and a half. And, I mean, you don't like second rounds. Like, what do you have against second rounds, Tom Aspinall?
Absolutely nothing. His coach said in the build-up, we're going to drag him into deep water. We're going to drag him to the later rounds. So I was preparing myself for the later rounds. You know what I mean? That was me. I was going slow in there, man. That wasn't me trying to knock him out at all. I never looked for the finish. I was like they're saying they're going to drag me into deep water. I'm going to look in the camera and say, somebody drag me into deep water. I'm telling you, I want to feel what it's like. I want to see if I can swim or not. Jon Jones, if you can drag me there, take me there, because right now, all these guys are saying.
In my opinion, if you look at his body of work over the last 15 years, he's like as close as you can get to perfection as possible. He's like 37, 38 years old, but not only that, he's got 1 million miles on the clock. So he's got a lot of damage on the body. He's took a lot of shots to the head. And that's not me saying anything negative about it. That's the reality of it. And I'm sure Jon Jones is aware of that. And he's fighting one of the most concussive punchers in UFC history. And I just think I can exploit it. Like, I think to get out the way of me for 25 minutes at this point in his career without getting hit once, and that's all I need is just one, I think that's going to be...
You know what I'm saying? Title fight.
He's talking about with Islam. He's saying that he's a little new in the sport still.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do before.
But he has a big future. You got a big future.
Big future, but I think that same Habib career, not long.
Yeah, not very long.
Yeah, just start the pressure just didn't make the fight start. So it's done a lot. You know, you kept on keeping on, and I still are. So it's like,
I feel like
wow, how's this even argument?
The longer you're on top, the more time your opponents get to study your footage. People fixate on fighting you instead of the next opponent.
And it's starting.
Yeah, it gets harder and harder the longer you stick around, we get older.
And then they're yelling at you, and you're like, you know, you started since me. So it's like, why are you even talking?
I feel like the comment that I made a lot of people upset, a lot of Islam fans upset. But really what I was trying to do is I was trying to translate for Nate to the Russians. Nate speaks in a very laid-back way. He speaks with a lot of slang, and if you're not American, it may be hard to understand what he was saying. So I was really just trying to translate for...
Islam Makhachev is a better version of Bilal. I think his striking on the feet is I think it's easier than Bilal because he's more just he'll stay in one stance. He's more traditional style. But yeah, he's the pound for pound #1. So it's a tough fight. But I guess we'll just watch all his fights again, make a solid game plan, and then just start working at it. From pretty much now, I'm going to start working on ways to beat him, different ways to get back to my feet, stuff in the takedown. But I'm pretty confident I can get this one done.
Will you pick Volk's brain?
Yeah, 100%. I definitely plan. After the last 2 fights, I've spent a bit of time in Wollongong. So yeah, I think probably the first stop, we go to Wollongong, talk to Volk, see what he reckons.
Islam went up not out of courage. Islam did not go up out of adding hardware to put on his mantle. He went up with one condition, which is I don't have to fight Belal Muhammad. Now, he can sit around and say, I could beat Belal, and I wouldn't go up and beat Belal because I can beat Belal. The bottom line is you entered a division openly that you said you wouldn't face one of the top guys. That's not a sign of courage. That's a sign of cowardice. I don't love the idea. You have an undefeated. Make sure you understand what happened. I know this is your friend, DC. I think of Islam as my friend, too. But let's think of what happened. You have an undefeated, #1 ranked world champion who's chasing you down. He is willing to leave his division behind. He's willing to walk away from his belt to chase you down. You are so interested in getting away from this guy that you not only leave your belt, you leave your division, and the whole thing is only contingent that you don't have to fight Islam. Not for nothing. This is not the way champions conduct themselves.
Where in our history of knowing Islam Makhachev is there anywhere that says this guy's going to duck anybody? That's not who he is.
Those two words just don't go together, Islam and ducking. You know, it doesn't add up in any sense of the word. Like you said, there's certainly situations of guys quote unquote ducking, but you know, you kind of have to define what ducking is too, right? Like, are they going out of their way specifically to not fight a guy? You know, Islam's going for a bigger opportunity. Like I don't think that's ducking in any definition of the word that you can muster up.